Welcome, everyone. How's everybody tonight? Good. We're good? Good. We're ready to dig in?
Yes.
And begin. It's so good to see you all in your autumn attire. I'm glad that you didn't jump through autumn and go right to winter. I'm happy to see that, even though we've got the winter weather out there. All right, so tonight we're going to be talking about the topic of, I was inspired by the election to not talk about politics, but to talk about, what power we have as individuals and what power we have collectively. There are so many things that happen that make us feel perhaps like we don't have a lot of power. And one of the most important things that we need to experience as a group and as individuals in this year and the upcoming years is to have a better sense of what power we do have. Because as things are unsettling around us, or it seems like maybe some things are out of control, or the media gives the appearance of things being chaotic, it's important to understand that that's a projection of a limited energy, and that what we really are moving toward is, as we witness that energy more, we are actually moving toward taking our power back, which means the power of the individual, the power of the soul, the power of love, where I'm not talking in a militant way. I'm not talking in a political way either. I'm talking about that each of us have this lifetime here in our physical bodies, and there have been too many things that happen to each of us that make us feel like we're not the directors of our own journey, or we're not the directors of what we're going to experience next, or that we don't have any particular say in how things unfold. Where was I? All about our power. Okay, thanks for the chocolate you brought up, and thanks for all that. Oh, all these goodies. This is fantastic. We'll take another break in 5 minutes, and you can bring me up more. All right, so that's basically it. The journey right now has been for a lot of us to get rid of the masks and layers that we've accumulated since childhood about the terrible things that have happened to us, or the misbelief that we've picked up, or the pain that we carry from our own personal experiences. And I've been with so many people in that journey over the last number of years, helping people to learn how to peel that stuff back and how to understand that the things that happened when you were young are not an indication of who you are, and to help people grow back their love of self. But now it seems as though your individual experience is melding more with the global experience. They're not as distinct and separate as they used to appear to be, where something could be happening on the planet and it seemed you'd have a buffer space around it, or you'd hear about it or read about it or see it, but it didn't necessarily feel like it changed your view of the world or your sense of what we as individuals have as the opportunity to create the world in which we want to live. And basically since 2012, we've been talking about this changing energy, this period of accelerated enlightenment. And when you look at that key word, the key word in there is accelerated. That means not that it's going at a constant speed, it's going at an increasing rate. So one of the reasons why we see things changing outside of us so rapidly is because that's what acceleration does. The changes are happening speedier and speedier and speedier with each day and with each passing year. So that means when we were having conversations in 2010, we would be talking about something and setting the stage for maybe what the next 3 or 4 years might feel like or look like. And then by the time 2015 came around, we were talking about what the stage might look like for the next 2 years. This is the time lapse between the moving in of energy and then how rapidly it affects us or the globe. The time lapse is getting shorter and shorter and shorter. So in order for us to be prepared for the increase in that change versus from the beginning to the end of the change, when it becomes integrated and implemented, we want to stay ahead of the curve. And to stay ahead of the curve, it means have foreknowledge, to be on the edge, to know how to process information more quickly, to know how to adjust to change, to know how to understand the difference between changes that are going to affect you negatively, and then to resist allowing it to affect you negatively if it doesn't need to. That's what we're facing right now, is change that is so rapid that you can barely catalog the last change before the next change comes in. So how do we do this? How do we do this? How do we prepare ourselves for that fast motion? A lot of what we do is we remember the things that we've learned over the last 5 or 10 years, and I'll continue to give you crash courses through this Making Discovery series to catch up about the things that we have focused on for the last 5 to 10 years. But they're important. It's almost as if you got to think about it, you got to process it, you got to read about it, you got to watch people who are doing it or helping you do it, but it's not the time to attain that kind of information anymore. The basic stuff, like clearing stuff out, growing in your self-love. These things are our basic platform now. So we got to go through them a little bit more quickly if you haven't gotten them done. None of us are ever finished. It's not to say that we're done, but it's to say that if you understand that clearing things out is what makes good space for the stuff that you want to come in, then you can't talk about it or think about it, or you can't sit there and say, I should, I need to, I want to, I have to. Right? The days of saying I should, I need to, I have to, they're coming to an end. You want to actually do them now, right? Okay, this is like midnight before your 14-page research paper is due, okay? And if you haven't put your fingers on the keyboard yet, you got very few hours left to put your fingers on the keyboard. So get your hands on the keyboard, because you have to turn the paper in the morning. All right. So I know what it's like to work up until a deadline. I know what it's like to postpone things. I know what it's like to procrastinate, or to say now's not the right time, or I can postpone this, or make up excuses, or have excuses come to you, which the universe will do if you invite them in. If you are defiant about wanting to make the improvements that you have suggested to yourself you want to make, the universe is going to give you excuses, and it's going to give you reasons to not do the stuff that you claim to want to do. Is that right? That way it takes the ownership off you. You don't feel like you've had to have any decision in making this not happen. It lets you off the hook. But no matter what, if you're not doing it, no matter what excuse you have given yourself, or what excuse the universe is giving you yourself, it really still is your manifestation of reality. Reality doesn't happen to us. Reality happens with us and for us. With us and for us. Does everybody understand that? I know it seems as though the stuff that happens, it's random or it's chaotic, but it really is not random, and it is not chaotic, meaning that it has no purpose. It's very, very purposeful. And I feel like I'm kind of like being commanding here. You gotta. But it's really not for my benefit. It's for your benefit, because as the rapidity of the changes are happening at such an increasing rate, you don't want to fall behind, that you feel like you're getting lost, or you're scrambling, or you feel even less empowered or unsure. You want to wake up each day and feel that you're on steady footing, that you feel like you're in command of your choices in your life, that you feel you have some reasonable expectation about your own persistent happiness. How about that? How about persistent happiness? So rather than wake up to a brand new circumstance outside of you every day and try to figure out how to adjust or alter yourself in there, why not start out with a basic platform that's going to support you, a foundation that's going to support you through every different step that happens, through every different change outside of you, to every different experience that other people have. That's what you want. You want that stability. You want that thing that you can count on. It's sort of like having a life raft in a storm. As long as you have that life raft and the supplies that you need, no matter how much that water is rocking or no matter how much those winds are blowing, if your life raft is well secured, well supplied, and well taken care of, you're going to be able to comfortably ride out the storms. And that's what you want to do. You want to make sure that your life raft is comfortably blown up or crafted and that you have all the supplies that it is that you need. Okay. And what is the number one supply to have in your life raft? I've already said it tonight. What's the number one survival tool for your life raft? Let's say thrival rule.
Self-love.
Self-love. That's it. Okay. When I began to channel books, the first book I channeled was called The Answers. And the second book I channeled was called Begin Here. I've mentioned this before. And I was surprised when I got the name of the second book. I'm like, well, if it's called Begin Here, why would you give it to me second? Why didn't you give it to me first? I'm like, here I was thinking that guides were bright. And then I'm now discovering that guides are really not that bright after all. They don't even know the numerical sequence of books, right? So the reason I got Begin Here second was because it's about learning to love yourself and to grow in your ability to love yourself more by the time you're finished with the book than you did when you began it. And people at that time when I channeled it, they weren't interested in self-love. It felt like a superfluous topic. It felt like something that really wouldn't bring them any value. They didn't understand how important it was to grow in your appreciation of yourself. And since people didn't understand how valuable and essential it was, the guides were quite clear that they needed a hook first to give them something that they could sink their teeth into that felt more tangible, which is what the book The Answers did. It gave something that you could really, feel that there was a difference when you read it. It changed your perception of reality. It stripped away a lot of the pain and masks and layers of your own experiences. So it was something you could grab hold of. Loving yourself more is not necessarily something that feels tangible, which is why most people don't pursue it. Most people truly don't pursue it. So foundationally now is the time that if you have not yet pursued it, now's the time you want to do it. You can do this with Begin Here. You can do this by, coming out when it's cold out and being with all of us, being with people who choose to live as souls instead of as humans, by creating environments in your own space where other people can feel welcome and supported and appreciated, so that all of us get gathering spaces where we're supporting the best in each other. These are all the ways that you're growing your self-love, because when you appreciate others and help others to appreciate themselves, it helps you to remember to appreciate yourself. The other thing is to question things a lot. The triggers that happen. Why did that person make me feel the way I feel right now? If it's a bad feeling that you have when you're with another person, you want to follow that route and see what experience you're carrying that you're not feeling worthy, or you're not feeling lovable, or you're not feeling strong or confident, or something in those lines. So think about it. Suppose you have a boss that's intimidating and you get called into her office. And now you have a rapid heartbeat because you're called into her office and you have to go sit in there. Why are you feeling that way? Why are you feeling that way? It's easy to say, well, she's really not a nice person and she could fire anybody at any moment. And maybe that's what you're afraid of. But if you're repeatedly afraid every time she calls you into her office, then there's something else going on here, because every time you got called in, you didn't get fired, right? So you can't keep making that supposition. So it means that you're not feeling confident. You're not feeling confident. So what are you not confident about? You're not confident that you're not good enough for her. Your work is not good enough. You're not doing something that she expects of you. I'm going to say probably in this group, none of you have that issue. I'm sure you're all really great performers to the best of your ability. It's not that you're underperforming. Are you afraid of her personality? Is her personality something that's upsetting to you? Is it that you find her to be volatile or unpredictable? Well, if you're finding that to be the thing that's intimidating, why does a person's volatility or unpredictability, why is it upsetting to you? Some of us are perfectly fine when someone's volatile. We're like, oh, there he goes again. Everybody take cover. So why is it a trigger for you? It means because there was somebody or something in your childhood that was volatile or unpredictable that makes you feel insecure, that makes you feel, insecure about your worth, but insecure about your circumstances, makes you feel unsafe, makes you feel that you don't have any way to predict what the outcome will be. So it keep following and following and following these triggers of how people make you feel the way that they do. It's not even always as clear as someone is volatile and it reminds you of someone being volatile when they were young. It's usually, there's a measure of it and a parallel of it, but sometimes we get to a point where we're caring so much about living in a world where we care about one another and that love is what matters to us, that being around anyone that is not living at that vibration, anyone that has anger issues or they are, greedy or vengeful or autocratic or commanding or not personable or simply not kind, you can develop a sensitivity to those who are behaving that way. And that's actually a good quality. Do you really want to not have a sensitivity to that? I don't want to be happily living with people who are not living in a kind way because I don't want to adjust to it. I don't want to say it's okay. And I don't want to permit them to continue to be like that in my presence because to me, that's giving up. If I hold myself to a higher standard of kindness, I'm going to have some measure of, at a minimum, putting out an energy that I hold other people in my space to a higher standard, right? So you can't put yours down. You can't lower your standard because someone's not behaving like that, but you can feel proud of the fact that you're not enjoying being with that person. So when the boss calls you in, if you're really kind of getting a pushback just from her being, from her presence, from who she is, from the way she spills all over a room, it's okay to say, I'm proud that I have a sensitivity to a lack of kindness. And it's okay to calmly say to yourself, I'm here for a purpose, and my purpose in being here are for decisions that I chose. I signed up to allow myself to continue in this position and to allow her to continue to be my boss because I'm still perceiving that the good is outweighing the bad. I'm still perceiving that the value of this job or this paycheck or this circumstance or this commute or this money or this health benefit, I'm still perceiving that my choice in being here outweighs the discomfort that I have in being with this particular personality. You follow me? So self-love means that you don't allow someone to take away your energy just because they're not living at the vibration that you're living at. They don't have the right to take that from you anymore. They just don't. They don't have the right to take that from you anymore, right? Yes, they don't. In going through my own realizations about childhood and the struggles that I had, I do remember there was one day I woke up. I couldn't sleep at all that one night. And I woke up and I remember thinking, I am never, ever, ever going to let the person from my past take away another minute of my harmony. They've had so much of my life already. I'm not going to give them one more minute of my life. It was a liberating feeling. And it was a feeling that I knew I wasn't going to be able to ever have another day like the day before, where I adjusted or I managed or I carried the pain or the dark shadow followed me. I woke up that morning, for some reason I was liberated with this knowledge that that person had no right to own any bit of my joy again. Not one bit, not 1 second of it. They had no right. They'd taken more than their fair share. No one should have the right to any of your joy, should they? Unless you're both sharing it together. No one should have the right to take away your joy at all. No one has the right to take away your joy. And that's when you really align with that, you start to feel more powerful in circumstances with people who are unkind, who treat you badly, who disrespect you, who don't allow you to be exactly who you are. It gives you a feeling of strength. So you can almost feel that you can relax into the story in your head when you're with someone like that. This is okay because this is where this person is right now, and I know where I am and I know where I choose to be. And because I have made a decision that the good is definitely outweighing the bad in my overall circumstance in joining this person, then I'm going to just say, I feel a little bit sad for you that you are living the life that you're living, but you are not my problem. My concern and my focus here is me. How can I be feeling safe and comfortable and happy and full of self-love? What can I do? What can I do to allow myself to feel like that? When I really started to think like that, I started to develop this ability to know what the other person needed. So no matter how egregiously someone behaved, no matter how mean someone might be, I started to get a sense of what they needed right now. I couldn't go back and fix their stuff. They were the only ones that could do that. But I could make this minute more valuable to them. And I can do so in an authentic way, because it's not about lying and it's not about being a fraud, because people see right through that. It's about authentically finding what it is about that person that you can value and appreciate in the moment. You know, so let's go back to the nasty boss. All right. Well, you're definitely not appreciating how she's treating you in the moment. So cross that off the list. But what is there that you can appreciate? Even if it's not necessarily about her specifically, but what can you appreciate? And maybe the thing is that you can say something like, I'm so glad that we have a few minutes to talk today, because for some reason I've been thinking about like how hard the changes in this company must be on you. And it's got to be really stressful. And I think that I'm really kind of glad at this minute that I don't have your job, but I think you're doing the best that you can. How amazing would that be to start the conversation of whatever this person is about to say to you? Because you know what that person needs, right? They need to be valued. They need to be appreciated. And you learn that you have an intuitive ability to know almost specifically what it is that they need. And you know that you can deliver it in a way that is authentic because it's coming from a place of love. It's not coming from a place of how do I get a better outcome for me only. You know, sometimes you have to do that, but then please don't hang around with that person too much. Do get another job. But it emerges, the words at the right moment, because you get a sense of, if this person is so mean, how is this person beat up on? What happened to this person? You know, what did she go through? What did she experience? How was she dismissed? How was she knocked off her feet? How was she told that she was inadequate or inferior? How was she told she was stupid or would never amount to anything? How was she told that she's useless? What happened before she got to be sitting here on the other side of this table from me? People are not born mean. They're not born mean. People are not born bullies. Every person who is mean, everybody who is criminal, everybody who is abusive, everybody who is neglectful was not born that way. Nobody is born that way. The reason they evolved to become that kind of a human is simply because of the things that they have endured, the things that they have been taught, the things that have been modeled to them, the things that they have learned. So if someone is being unkind to you, do you think that you're the one that brought that unkindness out in them? No, life brought that unkindness out in them. So do you really want to add to that so they're going to be twice as mean to the next person that comes in the office? No. If you're kind, then you're opening up a possibility that you're going to have a good experience while you're sitting there or standing there, and they're going to give a better experience to the next person that comes into the room. It's interesting, right?
Hurt people hurt people.
I never heard it said that way. Or if I did, I didn't remember it. But that's a really good way of looking at it. Hurt people hurt people. That's fascinating. It's a really good way of looking at it. Yeah. And it's funny because by saying that, you reminded me that one of the channels that was coming in as I was talking is that when people are hurt, they don't necessarily become a bully and they don't necessarily become mean, but there's other ways that they can sabotage you or themselves. Okay. So if they're hurt and they haven't taken a peek at nice glasses, are they new?
Oh, thank you.
Yes.
Thank you for not making me be the only one that can see that. Thank you for sharing. You didn't answer me though, are they new?
Yes. I want to make sure everybody else saw them.
Okay, cool.
They understood what we're talking about.
Okay, cool.
Just put a little yes on the video.
Yes, the glasses are new. Where was I? You had to go put those glasses on. I lost my place. Where was I?
Hurt people
Hurt
don't
people.
necessarily.
Oh, yeah. Okay, so there's other ways that they thank you. Can we go back to the minutes of about 2 minutes ago? Just flip over your clipboard notes, if you wouldn't mind. Yeah, they don't necessarily behave in an outward way where you can clearly see that this person is, messed up because of stuff that happened to them. The way that they try to resolve their issues or gain power or gain control can be very, very subtle. And those are the ones that can hit you on the back of the head. Like, oh, I'm going to give this project to you, right? And then before you know it, they're bringing someone else into the office. I want you to head this up. Just different things. And they're not even aware of how they're setting you up for failure. But they are setting you up for failure because if you fail and they remain constant, then that means that they're worthy and that means they're better than you. Do you follow? So there's so many different ways that the pain from childhood can play itself out. It's not always just clear meanness. But if you get the brunt of it, if you get the raw end of the deal, it will always come back to what it is that the other person has experienced. Here's a funny thing I never thought I'd have to deal with. Never even knew it was a possibility, so I didn't even know that I could know that I would have to deal with it. But pre-enlightenment or pre-removing masks and layers, I never really thought like how happy people get treated, right? Because if you haven't really been there, except we all have good days and good moments and good experiences, and it could be a 2-year good day, right? But true happiness that's reliable and you can always count on it, most people have not yet experienced that. So how would a happy person be treated? One thing I hadn't expected is that there are a lot of people who just don't want to be around you. Okay. And if they're compelled to be around you, meaning you're a member of their group or their community in some regard or another, they might get jealous. And if they get jealous, there may be behaviors that they choose because of their jealousy. So their aim unknowingly is to pull you down. If they could get you to be unhappy, how powerful would they be? And believe it or not, that's kind of like putting a Band-Aid on a bleeding artery for them, because their self-love is spewing all over the place. It's emptying out of their bodies rapidly. So if they put a quick Band-Aid on it by making you, who appears to be self-loving, fall apart, then that, wow, maybe I am pretty good. I'm powerful. I have influence. I'm not invisible. And I think happiness is like a pie, right? And the bigger slice you get, the smaller slice I get, right? So not only would pulling you down help me to feel powerful, but it also means I can have a bigger slice of the happiness pie once I knock you off your happy little podium that you're standing on, right? But it's so interesting. Do you think that they sat up at night thinking this all through? Oh, I remember when I was 6, here's what happened. Here's what my dad did. There's what my older brother did. There's what my 4th grade teacher did. What can I do to, reinvest in myself what they took away? Well, I'm going to start out by, I'm going to tear Karen down. Let's see if we could do that. Because if I tear Karen down, well, my self-love is going to come flooding back in. I'm going to be very powerful. I'm going to get a bigger slice of the happiness pie since it's obviously finite. No one thinks any of this through. Before any serious awakening happens to anybody, we only live reactively. We don't have the ability to live contemplatively, right? You were living reactively until you stepped into the power that you have to live contemplatively, to understand the cause and the effect of your presence and your choices and your actions and how it influences the people around you. You used to live like that too. I sure as hell lived like that, unfortunately, for some of the people around me a while back. And that's what other people are doing. It's never actually, and I always hated that saying, it's not about you, it's about me. But it's so weird. It's really not about you. It's about the whole history that came to that person before they met you. It's the whole bit of everything. I always know my overnight success is just around the corner. So yeah, I think Ellen's having me on soon, and then Oprah's going to be all jealous. Oh my gosh, Ellen had her on. I didn't get her on first, but it's not too late. I can still have her on. And so the overnight success I've got in my visions. A lot of you know my visions of how to make this work a little better in the world, how to make this work a little better in the world, and this and this and this and this, and I've got them all. So it's going to take some people to get this stuff done. I can't do everything. Apparently I can't do much of anything. There are some things I do well and many things I don't do well. So obviously I'm going to need some assistance, but I have already hired a person in the role of CSO, and she'll be my CSO in the company. And that is my Chief Soul Officer. Chief Soul Officer. And what is the role of the Chief Soul Officer? The Chief Soul Officer is the one who understands that everybody works out their stuff at work. And before you work it out on each other, why don't you work it out with me? Because I'm going to be able to guide you and assist you to understand your motivations, to understand that which you cannot see, to understand the triggers, and we're going to sort it out. And however many people we have to bring into this office, however many exercises we have to do, let's work out our work dramas, but let's work it out soulfully. Let's use work as a way to help us to get past our suffering, to get past our pain, to get past the barriers and the obstacles that have prevented us from being sustainably happy. Because we're going to come to work and we have a mission and we have a lot of stuff that we want to get done, and it's powerful stuff. But if we're still dragging our own shit into the office all the time, we're not going to get it done because we're going to have to sort through that stuff out before we can reach our own unlimited selves. Therefore, in order for us to contribute our unlimited selves to organizations and visions and things that we want to get done, we got to get rid of that stuff, right? So instead of saying come to work and be perfect, let's say come to work, bring whatever human stuff you have left, have an intention to live more soulfully. And when you hit a snag, let us help you with that snag. If you really believe we are all connected, why should you have to deal with that snag alone? You didn't put it there alone. Why do you have to release it by yourself? We're here lovingly to help you sort that thing out. Can you imagine in the growth of this company and the growth of all of the individuals in that company, how powerful this organization will be? We don't need the law to tell us what to do. We don't need legislation to tell us what to do. The only thing we need to tell us what to do and to direct us is our hearts. And our chief soul officer is going to help everyone find the heart within us and help us grow our self-love and help us grow an understanding of how these triggers infringed our ability to be exactly what we're capable of being. That's the world that we want to live in. Right?
Definitely.
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely. Yeah, that's the world we want to live in. And these are the reason I'm talking about these things with increasing emphasis over the last few years is because I do see a day in the future where there are two choices, and those two choices are going to make or break the quality of your life. And one choice is soulful living, and the other is living like an encumbered human. Okay? And each person will make that choice through ignorance or through resistance. And when you make that choice at some point, the intensity of the pain that you experience by choosing to only be human will increase, period. That's the bottom line. That's where we're going. And the joy and the freedom and the creativity and the expansion and the love and the bliss that you experience by choosing to live more soulfully will expand. Those are the two choices. We can see the polarization of what's going on this planet. The polarization is also going to continue in the spectrum of if you're living like a soul or if you're living like a human. So this contentiousness that we see with each other, how litigious we are, how fighting we are, how killing we are, that's one camp. That's the non-soulful camp. We choose to be in the soulful camp, don't we?
Yeah.
We're in the soulful camp. And the choice, it's not that you have to be perfect. It's not that you have to be free of mistakes. It's not that you have to be completely never ever hurting another human or yourself. It means that you want to stay connected to the intention to live like this, to thrive, to grow back your self-love, to know that that is innately who you are, and that all the drama that was surrounding you for so many years was handed at you and somebody asked you to carry it. Well, you said, all right, I'll carry it, but now you're going to say, I'm not going to carry it. So you're willing to evolve. You're willing to be aware. You're willing to change. You're willing to shift. You're willing to remain conscious. You're willing to. So the point is that you don't have to succeed at everything. That's the thing that makes this so easy. If I thought that you had to succeed at it, and that's what I was channeling from guides right now and in the years to come, I'd feel bad for everybody because that's a big, big, big burden. But it's not. It's the willingness and the intention. The willingness and the intention. You know, we all have an innate ability within us from birth to know whether or not this feels good. And if your challenges that you carry from the things that happened to you when you were young, if those challenges cause the possibilities of you being the one that's bullying or mean or disrespectful or judgmental or racist or sexist or any otherist, there's a part of you that knows this does not feel good. Even as a child, if you're modeling the behaviors of other people and it's not coming from the vibration of love, there's a part of you that knows that this does not feel good. So we're not asking people to learn anything. we're asking them to remember what they already know. That's all we're asking. We're asking everyone to remember what they already know, what it feels like to be behaving in a way where there's a willingness and an intention to become more soulful with one another. Anyone have any thoughts or questions or ideas? Yeah.
I was at a seminar the other day, and it was on ACE they call it, and it's adverse child experience. So basically, is what you
Adverse child experience.
Adverse child experience, and it's a new catchphrase, I guess. Not really. It's mental health, and what they were saying is that they're finding that people who have been abused or were bullied or whatever, but extreme cases, when they're pregnant, if it's a woman and she's pregnant and having a baby, what they do is they bring that woman in and they counsel her, so they're looking into all the trauma of what's happening to people. They bring them in and they find that they let the infants come in then, and they set it up. It's really making a change on how the mother is treating the infant, and they're almost stopping it. They're looking at it preventative, sooner than later. And they're saying that that infants up to like 2 or 3 months old can feel this, and it's just extremely interesting.
I'm going to try to paraphrase this because it's likely that your voice didn't carry, but adverse childhood experience, is that what I get? That
child experience.
Adverse child experience, ACE, is the notion that when a woman is pregnant, that if she can experience counseling and knowingness, and I guess basically what I'm saying, getting closer to the vibration of appreciation and so on for herself and therefore for her child, and then an infant can come in with her up until they're 2 to 5 months old, I think you said. Continue, and also have this opportunity for the unity of helping them to see that things can be wonderful and limitless and loving and so on, that it can set the child and the parent on for a relationship for life that's harmonious, and to dissolve any of the suffering or struggles that the parent had before the baby was born.
We were talking about, like, even with Holocaust survivors and slavery, and how those stories are constantly repeated, and to learn not to say those stories all the time, but to really change and change a different, become more soulful, become, like you said, with the willingness to do something.
Yes. Yeah. When I'm sure everybody understands that I had my first experience of opening to consciousness not being connected to my body. It was on 9/11. What was the saying everybody said after 9/11? Never forget.
Oh, wow.
It took me from 2001 until 2005 or 6 to try to understand what I had experienced and to understand the world. And then a couple of years of really, really staying connected and focused obsessively until I got to the point of, feeling comfortable and confident and self-loving and empowered. And in that amount of time before I had any clarity, I had an intuitive hit. We can't say never forget. It's exactly the opposite of the messages that we want to give to ourselves. Listen, bottom line is we're not ever going to forget. So you don't have to remind me to not forget. It's what we do with that information that matters. Never forget means that you're staying in an energy of pain. You're staying in an energy of struggle. You're staying in an energy of witnessing that which it is we can't endure. So there's a different way of looking at it. It's saying, well, you know what? The earthly experience of 9/11 happened. That's finite. We cannot go back and change it, but we can grow from it and expand from it and increase our ability to love one another and to love everyone that we come into contact and reach with. Because if we were living like that globally, 9/11 would not have happened, period. That's the bottom line. So why would we ever treat an incident of anger with violence? It's not going to resolve anything. It's going to add more violence and more hatred into the consciousness that floats around this globe. It never got anybody anywhere, and it's never going to get anybody anywhere. It doesn't work. It just doesn't work. There's always a more creative and a more powerful way to be in the world. Once the ego dissolves and more people's egos are resting or becoming subdued, those are the people who are going to powerfully influence the change in our world. The old factions are coming to an end. They are dying, and they're dying rapidly. We don't have to fight that which it is that we're in disagreement with, because they're going to kill themselves, because that's what happens. In a period of accelerated enlightenment, that is inevitable. That those who are living in ego and only in ego and not living soulfully, they're going to kill themselves. Is it going to take 30 years, 3 years, 300 years? I don't know. But we have the power to enhance the death of hate. We have the ability to enhance the death of fear. And the way to do that is to not focus on the hate and the fear, but to focus on the stuff where we're thriving, where we're having fun and we're playing and we're teaching and we're creating and we're laughing and we're loving one another and we're making a space for someone who's miserable to be happy, to have a good day, to have a good moment, to have a good hour, right? You're the one that people want to be around because you're soothing. I remember the first time people used that word on me, soothing. They stumble. What is it about you? What is it about you? What is it about you? And they were at a loss for words. And I didn't know what it was about me because I didn't know what they were talking about. I only knew myself before 9/11. That's what I thought I was, right? I didn't know I could really evolve to have a perceptible difference to others. I imagined myself as being whatever people perceived as me when I was younger. And they would say, it's like you're soothing. Oh, well, how am I soothing? I haven't brought you a casserole. I didn't, don't turn to me for food, water, warm blankets, because I'm not going to know where any of them are. And if I do find any of them, I can't get the blanket out of the bag. I can't get the water bottle open, and I can't turn the power on to turn on a heater. So I'm not that soothing, honestly. But it's because living in a vibration of self-love, it helps me to actually really love other people. I really like other people. I just want you all to like yourselves and to be happy. I really want that, It feels so good to me when someone is increasing their happiness. It makes me feel so happy to see that. If I could give that gift to everybody on the planet, I would. And those who allow me to, I'm there. Yes.
You have gifts way beyond what we really have. So if you can't turn on a computer, you have somebody help you turn on a computer.
Apparently, I have lots of people. It takes 6 people to change my light bulb as I sit there and get my nails done. Thank you, though. Thank you, though.
More talents then.
Thank you. I'm being let off the hook for those things that I can't do. Apparently, I'm being told that there are other things that I can do well, so I don't have to do those things that I don't do well. All right, cool.
Karen, can you talk a little bit more about clear intention? So are you saying that the self-love and the living soulfully is going to help you get to a place of clear intention? Or does that come with contemplative meditation? Does that come with, like, how do you hone in on clear intention?
Here's how I look at it. Okay. She's asking how we hone in on clear intention. Okay. Is it clear intention and just setting that as a focus and having that as a goal, or is it through meditation? But how do I get to that clear intention to have this increase in self-love and so on that I'm talking about? I never exercised a day in my life till I was 38, unless a phys ed teacher told me I had to. Right? Oh man, I couldn't stand them when I was a kid. Unless we were doing parachute day, right? Then I loved them. Or scooters, that was good. But some of the other stuff, not so much. So 38, I decided I wanted to start running. It was on a whim. It was really, well, I won't say it out loud, but there was a reason. I wanted to alter a part of my body. It was purely an egoic reason. So I realized that might be the way to get it done. And I started to run. And when you start an exercise program, I mean, it's like freaking torture, right? You battle with yourself every day. And then I don't need to do it today. Oh, it's 49 degrees. I'll wait till it's 51. Or, oh, there's a cloud. I think it's going to rain and I'll be outside. Or, oh, the milkman's going to come and I don't want to leave the milk out on the front stoop. So you just come up with reason after reason not to get outside. But then something magical happens on occasion. You actually find your sneakers and you put them on your feet and then you tie them. Right? And I'm telling you, the run is half over. As long as you get the sneakers and you put them on, you're half done. Because you're not going to walk around in those sneakers because they're reminding you that you're supposed to exercise. So you want to get them off as fast as possible. So you put the sneakers on and you walk outside and you close the door behind you. The run is virtually over. Am I right? Everybody knows what I'm meaning, right? It's exact. The gym bag is in the car. The motor's running, you're done. The rest is just the details. The same is true with intention. Your intention, when you set an intention, I want to be more self-loving. I want to be happier. I want to get rid of the masks and layers of childhood. And I know that I can do it. That's part of your intention. Not that I want to as though it's an elusive dream, but that I have the tools and the power and the resources and the commitment and the drive and the wherewithal and the intelligence to get access to the information that I need to get it done. So there's definitely intention of where you want to get, but there's also the belief that you can get it done, okay? When you have that intention, your sneakers are on and you're out the door. The rest is just details. And the beauty of it is that the universe is going to help you fill those details in. You don't even have to do. So you think there's half left, you have to go run? There's not. There's 25% left. Because once you're at that door, the universe helps you with 25% of what's left. It's that easy. It's the weirdest thing. If your intention is that clearly focused on where you want to be and what you know you can achieve and what you have the right to achieve, as long as your intention is there and you believe that you have the power to do it, you are halfway done. Well, technically then you're 3/4 of the way done, since the universe is going to come in and give you that next 25%. And what does happen is that power of that thought and that expectation and that intention and that willingness, it just lights up the universe. And all of a sudden the universe is making it so known that they're tripping all over themselves to help you and to support you and to guide you. It's like miracle after miracle happens and you try to put the pieces together from an analytical perspective and you're like, no, it just doesn't add up. That should not have happened. That should not have happened. That could not have happened. I used to love to try to figure out the mathematical probability of how some things happened. And when I couldn't, because the numbers got so big, I just felt like, all right, good. That was, an anomaly, and an anomaly of that magnitude is a miracle. Right? I don't care what the church defines a miracle as. To me, that's a miracle. I like miracles. They happen all the time. And so the miracles happen. And when you witness and pay attention and focus on the miracles, then they happen even more because the partnership is now aware of your participation in the partnership. Before, they were doing everything alone and you were hanging back, feeling bad for yourself, right? Now you're in it. And they're like, all right, cool. She's in it. Let's double down. Let's get this done. I'm highly motivated. Do you guys, we started late. Can we just skip the break? Would that be okay? Instead of taking a break? Okay, cool. I was going to say something and I got excited about it. And then I forgot it.
You were talking about miracles?
Miracles. Yeah, it'll come back to me. It'll happen. Someone's going to talk and I'm going to interrupt you when it comes back. Does anybody have any other thought or question? Because that was a really good question.
Yeah, it was.
And then, and to continue, the details are a little bit of trial and error for you personally. What does work? Meditation didn't work for me. Yoga didn't work for me. And the reason those two didn't work for me, I mean, there's a reason they personally didn't work for me, but the reason they didn't work for me, for you, is so that you don't see those as the only possibilities to get to where you want to be. Now, I look back in hindsight, and I guess I was, in the beginning, I was kind of envious of people who could practice yoga and people who could get a benefit from meditation. And I was kind of like, you guys, you're cheating, and I don't have access to those cheats. So I have to go the hard way. But in the end, what it meant is that my going the hard way revealed lots and lots and lots of ways to get to where you want to be other than meditating or yoga. And I still see meditation and yoga as the activities that help you to get there the quickest, if they're ones that you embrace and that you feel good about and that you love or that you enjoy. Okay, they are shortcuts, but there are so many other opportunities of ways to get there. You know, so many other ways.
Can you go through them all?
I will. Just come back every month, and I promise you I will. She wants to know if I can go through them all, and I intend to. I intend to share every single thing that I have ever discovered in this path until every one of you knows it. Like, I was going to say the back of your hand, but does anyone really know the back of their hands? That's a silly saying, isn't it? Right? All right. So you're going to know it as well as Mama and Daddy Penguin know the sound of their chick.
Aww.
Okay.
Right? Anyone ever see that?
Yeah.
Okay. So you know what I'm referring to. Thank you. Good. I'm glad. I'm glad I didn't have to explain that. All right. Was I answering a question?
You answered it.
Oh, okay. Good.
Thank you.
Okay. All right. So what was the other thing I wanted to talk about that I was so excited about when I said, let's skip the break so I could talk about it?
Did it have to do an intention?
Miracles.
Running.
Glasses?
Glasses. You guys are good tonight. my little comedians. All right. I'll just keep seeing. Let's see where the guides want to. You know what? We have a break because I don't know what I'm talking about. So let's talk about this. Okay. The year before is 2019, my annual event where I help all of us to understand the energy of the upcoming year and how we can use it to support us rather than go against the flow. If we're going with the flow, we get to move to our destination more readily and with, peace and happiness instead of, bashing our heads against broken branches and rocks in the river. That will be held on January 26th. Okay. I always choose the weekend when there's no football so that we can all get there. So it's a Saturday. This year it's going to be in Smithtown instead of in Nassau County. I'm going to try a new location, a location that I totally love. And we have a special guest set of musicians. And they're people that I've known for a lot of years. It's a young 20-something couple that they're found they just moved here from California, actually. And they have the most magical way of taking music that might have been off-putting for some people, like like a little bit of rap and a little bit of hip-hop putting in there. Some people don't necessarily feel that vibe, but they do it in such a way where they're creating very powerful, uplifting, and empowering music. So they just found a way to create this sound that I think is uniquely their own. And as I've always done for Derek every year, I would download a word from the guides and he would create his song Since Derek has now left us to our own devices to figure out how the world works, our new couple, Samantha and Darian, they're going to create the song, and I'm hoping that the guides give me the theme word for next year a little sooner than they normally do, because I don't want these kids having to start at midnight with their hands on the keyboard when the assignment is due in the morning. I'm going to do my best not to put them in that kind of circumstance. So I hope that you guys come out and give them a warm welcome on the 26th. I'm sure they would love to see a show of appreciation for them putting themselves out there with us. And another thing we're doing differently this year is we are having an art contest. I would love to tell you the exact date that the entries have to be in, but I think it's somewhere around maybe the week after Thanksgiving, but I'm not positive. But it is on my website. You just go to the event and you click on, the page comes up and the art contest comes up on my website, and you find out the date. Marie, do you know the date?
No.
No? Okay. Yeah, I know you're going to submit something. Yes? Yeah. The theme is quite simple and quite unstructured. The theme is love. And the winner of the contest, we're going to be using their artwork for all of our advertising and promoting, and we do put it out there far and wide for the year before us. And we're also going to, we have a couple of other ways to honor the winner, including the ability to sell the original at the year before us if they would choose to, if they would like to, and to have the opportunity to keep 100% of the proceeds of that sale as well. Okay, so put your artwork in, and all the submittal requirements are there, like what size the files have to be and so on. And tell your 6-year-old friends and your 60-year-old friends and your 106-year-old friends. We actually have gotten quite a few entries already. It's pretty fun just to see how people are submitting their artwork. It's a lot of fun. I'm enjoying it because they send me, whenever we get a submittal, they send it to me, so I get to see it. So that's fun.
November 18th is the deadline.
Oh, thank you. November 18th. Thank you. Oh, when is it? Ooh, wow. I better add a week to that, huh? Sorry, office. 18. Oh, maybe I'll add 1 week. Maybe, is that all right?
Yeah.
The 18th, Sunday? All right, we'll add a week. All right, we'll add a week, because that seems like that's so fast. And Maria's painting to do. Right? Okay. All right, so back to the world that we live in. We're going to grow in our self-love. We've already decided that. One of the other themes that came up over and over and over again over the last 8 years is about clearing stuff out. And I've talked about it on every level. I've talked about it on a level of the physical, the emotional, the people part, the memories, the past, the false pain, the worry. There's so many things to clear out, not just one thing. And anyone who thinks that spending a rainy day cleaning out a closet and getting rid of stuff and making it all organized is a waste of time, you're wrong, because it starts through an action of any sort. And when you have the ability to tear apart a drawer or tear apart a closet or a cabinet or anything and actually release that which is no longer of value to you and pass it on to another person or another space, you really are literally making room for new things to come in. But you metaphorically are letting go. You're metaphorically allowing yourself to enhance your journey simply by recognizing that your quality of your life is not dependent on the stuff inside of your closet. You don't have to hold on to it in order to have a happy day tomorrow. One of the things that I have done for as long as I can remember in this journey is I'm definitely not a clothes horse. I don't really enjoy holding onto clothes that I don't wear. It just doesn't satisfy me. So what I prefer to do is I just like have a rotating stock. I don't care if it's 15 things, let them in, let them out when they don't fit me right anymore, or I've grown bored of them. I pass them on. They always go to the same place that I send them off to, and they have their next life. And by then, I guess they're probably relatively new in comparison to some of the other stuff that people get there, right? But that makes me feel happy because that's what the world does, is we flow. So I like to flow with that. And when you live in a state of permanent impermanence, you really do allow yourself to go with the flow. And what it does for you is not only does it make you feel lighter and happier, but it also helps so that there's not going to be a nasty knock on the door where the universe is trying to unearth you from your dependence on material objects. So if you are too dependent on your physical stuff, if it's if it's taking up too big of a percentage of your happiness factor, the universe is going to say, no, that's not working for me, and that's not working for you. Let's see what we can do to get you to detached from one another a little bit more. And it'll start playfully, it'll start a little bit here, a little bit there, and it's going to get bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger until your happiness is no longer dependent on the physical objects in your life. Does it mean there aren't things I like? And are there things that I would miss if they were gone? Yeah, of course there are. But I'm going to tell you, I would not go from being a happy person to an unhappy person if they disappeared. I'm going to come to learn how to manage it. Maybe there'll be some grief. Maybe there'll be some stunned emotions for a while, but I'm going to manage those knowing that they will subside and that I will be as happy as I ever was before because my happiness wasn't dependent on those objects. Okay. So cleaning out closets, it sounds so basic, like it doesn't have a value, but it does. It has a lot of value. Keep things moving, keep things flowing. You look around, and when I began that part of my journey, I remember I had this cabinet in my den, and oh my gosh, it was so ugly. It had been my grandmother's cabinet, and it was the only thing I had of my grandmother's. And I'm not even talking ugly like, really bad styling. It was ugly like it was trashed. It had been in one of my siblings' houses for a temporary amount of time, and apparently wood does not absorb nail polish remover. I'm just telling you, it doesn't. So it was trashed. The thing was really ugly, but I kept it and 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 kept it because it was the only thing I had for my grandmother. And then because I was talking to guides, I didn't have the brilliant idea on my own. Take a picture of the damn cabinet and get rid of the cabinet. So once that idea was given to me, I took a picture of the cabinet, I got rid of it, I picked out something that I did like, and I remember thinking, I feel bad because my family is going to be so unhappy that I got rid of this. This is from their great grandmother, or this is from so-and-so. And first thing that happened when anybody walked in the room, oh, I'm so glad you got rid of that ugly cabinet. Why did you keep that for so long? I think one kid even said, oh, I thought we were poor. So yeah, don't keep stuff you don't want. All right. I don't care who owned it previously. A picture is worth 1,000 objects. And I'd rather have the photo than the 1,000 objects. Doesn't mean not keeping anything. There are going to be things like I have something with somebody's handwriting on it. That to me was more important than a ring. There were going to be some things, and it's all good. So you don't have to get rid of everything either. You're not a better person if you have nothing. Don't let any religion fool you into believing so. If they convinced you that you're better by having nothing or less, it's because they wanted more of what you used to have. Let's be truthful. That's the only reason. Okay? Yes, that's a fact. So then if you can clear out a closet, you can clear out other stuff too. And the stuff gets a little more intangible, but you can clear it out because you already know the process. You already know how it is to live without something that you had. And if you had it as a habit and it wasn't really adding to the quality of your life, then maybe you don't need to keep it as a habit anymore. And that includes people. It's okay to weed people out, and I don't weed people out cruelly at all. When I went through the process of really taking a note of who was in my life back then, when I was going through those years, I was not unkind to anybody. I wasn't dismissive. I wasn't cruel. I wasn't anything to anybody. I allowed really the universe to help me. And the universe did a great job taking people away from me that were not in the vibration of where I had begun to live and I was expanding into. The universe does it gracefully and beautifully. I think sometimes it's important that we take a stand or stand up for ourselves or tell someone how they made us feel, because that can be very, very empowering and that can grow our self-love back. But not to the point that you want to add equal pain or destruction to another person, because that will never serve you and that will never serve the other person. That will haunt you if you are so, vicious to someone who may have even been vicious to you first. That's going to stay with you more than the viciousness of their own acts. So yes, stand up for yourself. Let people know you're not a pushover. Let people know you're not a doormat. Let them know that you have a spine. Yeah, that's all good, because that grows your belief in yourself and it amps up your courage. But don't destroy anybody. You don't have to destroy anybody ever. You just don't. You don't have to. Anyone who is so bad to you ever, that's really not grammatically correct. Anyone who's so bad to you ever that you feel the need to retaliate, trust me, for them to have been able to be that bad to you, they have already suffered. You don't need to add to that suffering. Don't you think they might be able to benefit from a little relief from that pain? That's more likely, right? It's much more likely. So weed through people. And for those who you want to keep for whatever reason, for the benefit of somebody else, for the benefit of you, for the benefit of for them, if you really choose consciously and awakely, also not a word, if you choose consciously to keep that person in your life, then do it on your terms. You have the right to say how much time you spend with somebody, how you spend time with them, and how they treat you. You have the right to tell other people how to treat you. You have that right. And I don't care how afraid you are of somebody, if it's your mother and she's bullied you all her life, or she tears you to pieces, or she criticizes you. Doesn't really matter. You have that right, because what's the worst that could happen? She walks away and slams the door on you because you won't let her criticize you anymore. Well, guess what? Then you're not going to be criticized anymore. So your life has not gotten any worse. And if she's the one that runs out and slams the door on you because you won't allow criticism anymore, then you don't have to be cruel by telling her to get out of your life either, do you? You just make sure you tell people how you expect to be treated. And then that's how they will treat you. Don't whine about it. Just be constant about it. There are no exceptions to how you were treated. None. There are no exceptions to how you were treated. None. None. There are no exceptions to how you are treated. There just are not. Okay? I don't have to go back and apologize to people anymore. I don't, because I don't have anything to apologize for. Do I have fluctuations in my moods and my sleep and my hormones and all that other earthly stuff? Of course I do. But do I allow them to be excuses to behave really poorly to any other human being? No, I don't. I don't have to apologize to anyone, because I have nothing to apologize for, because I don't let any excuse make me less than being a kind person. I am kind. It's what a loving, self-loving person is by nature. I don't have to work it. I am kind. Any thoughts? No? Are you guys thinking of someone to get rid of? In the kindest way. I should have said let go of, not get rid of. Careful choice of words. No? We're all good?
Someone who shouldn't have gotten rid of me. Let's put it that way. That's a story for a lifetime.
Yeah. When someone lets you go and you don't think that they should have, then you have to You have to find the benefit in it because there's going to be a benefit in it to you. Okay?
Even if not immediately.
Yes,
visible.
exactly. But if you put your intention and your focus on discovering what the benefit was to be let go, then you will find the benefit. I promise you, you will. But you have to stay connected to the focus that you will find the benefit in having been let go. And you have to believe that you will find the benefit. And there's usually multiple benefits, not just one. Okay?
Okay. Yeah.
All right.
Appreciate that.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Yes.
So anytime that you're with somebody and you have a challenge with them, could it be your self-love or is it something else?
The question is, when you're with somebody and you have a challenge with them, is it your self-love or could it be something else? When you become more wholly self-loving, you can almost always have the ability to be a clear witness to the fact that the issue belongs with the other person. When you're not self-loving yet, you will be confused as to what caused the issue, and you may feel inferior or inadequate or unworthy because of it. So the answer is, there's a great amount of comprehension that comes with self-love. There's a knowingness about people and incidents and the world around you. Self-love is what gives you that almost a sense of knowingness about things that you might not even expect you'd have the power to know. It's interesting that self-love is actually like a wonderful pathway to intuition on levels that might not just be about psychic hits per se, but intuition about what makes the world unfold the way it unfolds and why your life unfolds the way it unfolds. That's what self-love gives you. It gives you the power to recall the knowingness that you had before you were born. When we think of source or the creator, whatever you want to think of as, from which we are all derived, we are a spark of that original source. That source is omniscient, all-knowing, right? And so are we when we're not encumbered by the human experience. So self-love is your pathway back to your own omniscience. I know I have clients who have been developing their self-love, and it's remarkable how much they know, but don't know how they know it. It's kind of a weird feeling, right? It's very strange, very strange. And sometimes it could even be sort of fact-based. Like you'd think you'd really have to Google that one, and yet you know the answer. And if you go back and then Google it, it's like, oh yeah, that's right. I did know that. I don't know how I knew it, but I did know it, and you can check. So that omniscience, that comprehension, that those insights, that knowingness, it comes with self-love. One of the most isolating experiences we can feel is not loving ourselves, because it makes you feel like you're in a glass bubble, right? And that nobody can see you or feel you or touch you. You know that feeling where you don't even exist? The reason that you're in this isolation bubble is because you're not experiencing comprehension of the energy of the universe and people around you, because you're not feeling self-love. I used to feel like that all the time. There was nothing worse than being lonely in a crowd or lonely in a group. But the depths of the loneliness I felt when I was younger, it was pitiful. I would never want anyone to feel like that. And I realized that it wasn't loneliness about having human contact. It was loneliness about being understood or being touched or being felt on a heartful level. The loneliness came from being in the absence of love. It didn't come from being in the absence of people.
Are there steps to self-love, or is there something we can do with self-love to grow your self-love?
Are there steps to self-love? Yes, again, we'll finish this conversation up in 2022, but let's begin here. Okay? A lot of the things that we've been talking about tonight already are the pathway to self-love, like seeing the trigger of how somebody makes you feel and staying with the feeling and the sensation down to the root cause of why do I actually feel like this. Go back to the example I gave of the boss. Like, why am I feeling like this? When you keep following the triggers of why you feel certain ways with other people, it helps you to reveal where something about yourself that you could love was taken away from you. You get to see where you disconnected from a vibration of loving yourself. I have, especially on 3-day weekends, we go through lots and lots of exercises to recover self-love and then remember and recall and be self-love again. But it has to do with giving yourself permission to like qualities about yourself, to catalog the things that you like and love about yourself, to pat yourself on the back, to write self-loving affirmations and to read them and have them pop up on your phone and sing them to yourself and put them on your mirror. You know, it's a matter of, if the intention is strong enough, all those details, once again, you're going to come across methods within this universe to achieve that, to find ways to continue to love yourself more. On today's Facebook post, I talked briefly about surrender, and one of the things that I had mentioned was to, sometimes just let it go and let go of your attachment. And it's kind of what we're talking about today. I didn't even realize it until I'm saying this, but let go of your attachment to, certain outcomes or so on. But one of the things I'd written in it was let go of your attachment to others' opinions. And I think that was in my inbox and on the page. That's the thing that got the biggest response from people. And it is kind of interesting how attached we are to others' opinions. I mean, really, 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 really attached to others' opinions, and in knowing and unknowing ways. But if you are living your life with the lens of perception of how is this person or this person or this person or this person or this person going to react, or how are they going to feel about it, or what are they going to think of me, or am I going to be good enough or anything enough for others, it's going to be impossible to grow your self-love, because you're going to become completely dependent on others' positive opinions as reassurance that you are worthy. But that is, it's vaporous. The moment you change your clothes or change what you say or change where you work, all those vapors dissolve and you have to start all over again, filling up that hole with other people's positive opinions. And there's no guarantee the people who told you the first bit of positive, they're going to be in the mood to tell it to you again. They may be having an off day or an off year or two. So it's gambling. It's becoming addicted to gambling. If you rely on other people's opinions of you to have any feeling of your own self-worth, you have an addiction, because it's insatiable. It will never go away. You will have to amp it up every single day of your life. You will have to recommit to eliciting positive feedback from others every day of your life in order to feel whole. And it's a drag. It takes a lot of energy to go around bending who you are to please others so that they give you positive feedback about yourself. It's a drag. It really is a drag. It's a lot of energy to please other people so you can gain compliments so that you can love yourself.
Another way to put it is, what people think of me is none of my business.
Yeah. Yeah. What people think of me is none of my business. Yes. Yep. I mean, your work, the stuff that you do or how you work or how you play, it's nice to, maybe collaborate or get other people's feedback. But there's a difference between something that is physical, right? Or your performance. It's nice to maybe get some critiques once in a while or some input or some influence so people can help you, but not about who you are. Not about who you are, not by any means. That's not where you need to get validation about you being allowed to be exactly who you are. No one has any right whatsoever to tell you who to be. it's funny. I always hover around on Facebook. I hover around 5,000 friends, and I really don't friend anybody. So I just let the process happen. And some people fade, and people close their accounts. And every time the numbers drop a little bit, I'm able to take friend requests in. But once a week, I eliminate people who I don't have any interaction with, and I try very hard to not accidentally delete someone that is getting value from me. So if there's ever been any interaction that I can recall, I won't delete them. It'll have to be someone that I really, 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 I don't even know who this person is, right? But one of the things I always find entertaining is that every now and then I put up a little more sternly worded post about how we should just love one another, and we're all awesome. And I don't get a big dip on that day of people who are my friends, but every time I put one of those more strongly worded little posts up there, I get a dip. And it's like, some people are like, oh my gosh, she likes these people and she loves those people, and she probably lets the immigrant caravan in, and unfriends. And I'm like, and whenever I see the dip on that day, I think yesterday's post, I don't remember which day it was, yesterday or the day before my post, I put it up and I was like, and I knew I was going to have a dip, and I see that dip during the day. It was 3 people unfriended me rapidly. And I like, yay! Yay! Now my audience, they just made room for someone that can actually get some benefit of this stuff, right? That's the way I look at it. Yeah, very cool. Any other thoughts, questions, ideas?
How can we tell younger people, like in more simple words, how to self-love?
How do you tell younger people how to love themselves, but in simpler language for kids? It really depends on the age, and it depends on the setting, and it depends on the kid, because kids have a sappy radar, and if you are too sappy too much, they're going to just turn off everything about you. So they have to respect you first. You have to have a little bit of grit. You have to have some believability. So that's something that's important, is to be real. It can't be all, butterflies and sunshine popping out of your mouth all the time. You have to be able to earn their respect, that they believe that you are a real person. And that's the start. Kids are able to listen to information from someone they respect more than they are from someone that they don't respect. Okay? And so that's the important part to remember. And then it really is, again, very, very specific to the age. I find that asking questions is the best way to help kids improve their love of self. Because when they have to answer a question, they have to form the thought, which means they have to process what the question was. So if I say, are you upset because you think he doesn't want to play with you? Then I have taken away any ability for that kid to grow in self-love, because I haven't let him think about whether he's upset that the kid doesn't want to play with him, or that he thinks that the kid doesn't want to play with him. You follow me? But if I ask a question instead, I just saw you and Austin together, and now you don't seem happy. Why is that? Then you're asking them to sort this out. And that it's to help kids to think for themselves. It's to help them become conscious of the things that are triggering them. It's to help them to decide. Another way I help empower kids is to actually empower them. Let them be the deciders of their own journeys. Let them make choices. Much to the dismay of me, I let my kids make a lot of choices, and I would have felt probably more peaceful if I made their choices for them, because then I wouldn't have to, be concerned about what the outcome might be. But what am I going to do? Stay with them until I'm 113, making their decisions for them? Doesn't really work for me. By the time I'm 112, I want to be out there on my own, living my own life, right? So I don't make their choices for them. And the way I did that by handing it off when they were really little was to always give them choices instead of tell them what we're going to do. Do you want to go to grandma's house, or do you want to stay home and do your homework? I don't say, get in the car, we're going to grandma's house. It's so interesting. It's a different way of being with kids. It helps to grow their self-love. So when they love themselves, they actually have fewer incidents with other people being unkind or pushing them around or stepping on them. It's remarkable. Self-confidence and self-love, even for the youngest being, becomes the ultimate protector. You know, it's a weird cycle, a lack of self-love. Self-love is taken away from you through abuse or neglect when you're young. And then you become a magnetic energy for more abuse and more neglect. So it's a vicious cycle to get out of. That's why the fastest we can allow kids to decide for themselves instead of deciding for them or smothering them or overprotecting them, the faster we empower them to think and to choose and to be awake and to be conscious, the faster they're going to have tools for life to get them through other encounters. And they're not going to be magnets for deleterious relationships and interactions in the future. They'll see some and it'll feel like, what? Are you talking to me? You got to be kidding me. Then as soon as you have that reaction back to someone, then you're not going to be the one that's bullied because they don't know why you just acted that way, right? It's such a surprise when a confident kid is treated poorly that the surprise ends the mistreatment. It is a protector. So thinking for yourself, I really, really love building kids up and allowing them to think for themselves and make choices. And then, like I said, every age is different. Every age is different. Middle school, I think you work with middle schoolers. Middle school is a funny little bit because that thing I said about they better respect you, that is the 3 years when if you have shooting stars vomiting out of your mouth and hearts and love all the time, they're not going to respect you if you're trying to cram that down their throats. But if you act in the vibration of love and you also are one that they respect because you're walking with confidence and the people, they can see that other people are treating you kindly and with respect, and you are thought-provoking and you actually engage with them on their level, then they're going to respect you. Then they're going to want to be your friend. So they're going to listen to some of the things that you say, even if they are a little corny or goofball. And that's important to remember. You know, even when we want to protect kids from anything that's harsh out there, you know, pretending it doesn't exist and saying always, oh, be nice, be kind, don't think that. It doesn't really help anybody because that's not necessarily what they're experiencing. You got to prepare them by helping them to grow their self-love. And that's what they'll take for life with them. Yeah, I'm thinking back to, I've spoken to kids really of every age. And one day I spoke to 600 elementary school kids from 3rd to 5th grade. And we all had a great time. The kids had a great time. And I speak all the time. It's what I do. This week I have 6 presentations in 7 days. It's what I do, and it doesn't drain me. I spoke for, I think, 2 hours to 600 elementary school kids, and I think I slept for 2 days after that. And so I thought about it. I'm like, why am I so knocked out from this? Why am I so knocked out? And it occurred to me that my passion for them to absorb information of value exceeded their ability to absorb information of value. And that was exhausting. elementary school is not my target audience personally. Oh boy. Sorry. Oh, that's so funny. So you guys, you don't want me to feel like that. You don't want me to sleep for 2 days after I leave here tonight. So please take information of value and implement it. Could you? What?
Wrapping it up.
Oh, I don't know. Am I? Oh, tonight? Oh. Oh my goodness. I don't know why I'm holding these. Okay, so let's, I know ever since I've been doing the Making Discoveries series, I've been asking less questions of the audience and online. So let's continue. What questions do you guys have? Yes.
If somebody's being bullied, like maybe a kid or somebody's being bullied, then how could you talk about the self-love or showing self-love?
If someone's being bullied, how can you, break that cycle, or how can you help them to love themselves more? I don't know who, it was probably you, Marie, that posted it, but there was a post in my Piece It Together page yesterday about the man whose son was being bullied, and it was a short video. And I really think, go to Piece It Together and find that short video, because the answer is right there. It was so, did you post it? You saw it though, right?
I don't know if
Marie?
that's the one that Stryker stole. Or if that was a different one.
Okay.
But I saw that one.
Yeah,
I remember that.
It was so on point. I actually think that it would be a great homework assignment for you guys to all just watch that one video. It was amazing, because when something is unfair, we get angry and we get disturbed and we get distracted, and we feel like if we put more unfairness into that, then we're going to balance the energy. But it doesn't work that way. And this man, his son was being bullied, and his approach, what he did, it was absolutely stunning what he did. And that really is, if you take that one video and you take the message that he put out there and you take that in your heart, in your ability to assist other people who are being bullied, and it's not just kids, adults are being bullied all the time.
And share it.
Huh?
And share it.
Yeah, totally. And adults bully. They really do.
No, share the video.
Oh, share the video. Oh yeah, share the video. Yeah. It's yeah. I actually spend time, I can communicate with guides, in case you didn't know that. I spend time like trying to come up with new and innovative ways of, bringing more love into the world, and resolving not just the little day-to-day stuff, but I would love to help resolve some really big conflicts and crises that we're having out there. I mean, obviously I would love to be able to do so much of that. I'm anti-war, in case anybody didn't know that. And I sometimes think, like, what can we do here? Because, like, what can we do? Like, what can we do? And I don't know. But every time one group wants to attack another group, I really do believe that what we should do is we should have the two chiefs sit at a table for a moment and everybody say, all right, bring your firstborn child with you. All right. We're going to line up the children and we're just going to have an even swap. So you take my kid home and I'll take your kid home. And when the conflict is resolved, we'll swap kids again. Do you know how fast the conflict will be over? Right? Because there's so many beautiful things that'll come of that. If you have someone else, if they are your mortal energy, the mortal enemy, and you bring their 6-year-old into your house and their 6-year-old is playing with your 6-year-old, how could you possibly continue to have that person be your enemy? It's like impossible. You can't hate them because of whatever it is you think you're supposed to hate them for. You just can't anymore, right? I'm talking about war, not just individual conflict. So that's what we should do. the UN should come up with a new initiative that anytime somebody wants to attack another group of people, that everybody has to bring their firstborn children with them. We'll just swap out our kids just while negotiations are happening and peace talks. And then when we come to a conclusion or a fair solution, everybody gets their kids back.
It was a commercial years ago. Do you remember it? I mean, you might be young, but it was.
I'm too young.
You weren't too young, but it was leaders meeting each other on a hill, and they were the ones who fought.
Oh, interesting.
Two men in
Leaders
suits.
meeting on a hill, and they were the ones that fought.
Two men in
Okay.
suits.
Interesting. Fascinating. That's a fascinating idea. But we will get there, and I'm hoping that it happens in my lifetime. But the momentum of the positive energy that's coming our way and is already existing, it's so powerful, and it's only going to ramp up. So we're just, it's up to us to grab onto that energy and to make the snowballs that are going down the hill accumulate as much snow as we can possibly get them to accumulate. That's up to us. So we got to take out the obstacles of that snowball rolling down a hill, the positive snowballs. We got to take any obstacle that's going to make them get cut in two on their way down there. And that's our privilege to be able to do that. You know, I recognize that the communications I've had with guides up until probably 2015, they were very gentle. They were very like, oh, try this, try that, try this, try that. And with increasing power and insistence, the information that I'm getting from guides is, no, don't try it anymore. Do it, be it, you know it. What more do we have to help you remember? There's nothing more for you to discover. You already know it. You already know it. And what value is there to be complacent and silent inside your own home? Is that the meaning of your life? No, it's not. It doesn't mean you have to go out there and help a million people, but you can certainly influence in a positive way the people that you meet across all of your day-to-day interactions. And if you want to add 2 extra people in by giving a compliment to somebody who's looking down and out, or someone looks like they need a friend, so amp it up. Choose 2 extra people. It's not that difficult, but we are not the ones that should be locking ourselves into our house and avoiding putting our positive influence out there, right? Because the other ones that are putting poor energy out there, they're not locking themselves in their houses, are they? So if we lock ourselves in our houses, what have we got? We got a lot of mess out there. So we want to be out there too. We want to be out there doing and being and living and breathing and influencing and hugging. I want to be in this world that when I return home, people are allowed to openly hug one another again. That's the world I want to live in. That's the world that we deserve to live in, you know, without litigation. Okay. I have to add that, right? I want to be able to openly hug one another without litigation. And we can all create that together. I do know over the next couple of years, our guides are going to increasingly give us all of the tools that we need to be able to be the beacons of hope and possibility and love for other people. And there is no pressure. There's no pressure in how many people that you have to influence. No pressure. That's not what this is about by any means. It's a matter of saying that I have the capability of it, and I'm not going to dial down my shine, because no one will benefit if I dial down my shine. I want to be out there as wonderful as I am, and I want everyone to be able to see who I am, and to feel my shine, and to feel that warmth, and to feel that kindness, and to feel that love, and to feel that optimism and that possibility.
Just for information, I get calls for dog therapy now almost weekly from schools. A
Ah,
lot of schools are now allowing dogs and animals back into. Because before, like no animals, lawsuits, they don't want to get involved. But some principals are like, yeah, we're going to do this. And one school, actually, grammar school, started a mindfulness.
wow. All right. What she's saying is that she's getting calls for her therapy dogs to come into schools where previously people were like afraid of lawsuits or like no animals in the building, blah, blah, blah. So the tide is turning, that we're allowing ourselves to understand that things that are positive are actually what? Positive! Things that are positive are actually, fill in the blank, positive. Oh, wow. But my daughter's school where she teaches, they have a therapy dog there every single day, all day. A companion dog, they call it. Not a therapy dog, a companion dog. And anytime a child has a certain circumstance, they're allowed to come and see the dog, and the dog visits the classrooms, you know, and it's really sweet. I've seen videos of and it's a mutt, you know, mutt. And when she goes into a classroom, it's just so much fun to see these little kids. And I know some of the stories behind the kids, you know, life's not always great. And it's so nice to see them. It's just love when they're with that puppy. It's just love. It's good. It's very good. Okay, briefly, we'll just say, are we interested in doing a food share for the December holiday? Yes, yeah. If we're going to raise our hands. Marie, are you game?
Yeah.
Okay. By default, because you're sitting right there in those beautiful glasses, right? I can't see anybody else. So I'll put up on Piece It Together or on my page that we can inbox Marie with what you want to bring, and we'll just do an exchange. You don't have to bring food or drink in order to get in. We'd rather have you here with nothing and share our food than to not be here at all. I always want to make that very, very clear, because sometimes it's not always easy to pick up the sushi that I love before you get here. Right? You know, might not be easy.
Donuts.
Donuts to your left.
Oh, really? Aww. It's your birthday? Today? Happy birthday. Oh, yeah.
Happy
No one wants to hear this.
Happy birthday, dear Kevin. Happy birthday to you.
Happy birthday! You brought in donuts on your own birthday. That's such a loving, awesome thing to do. Thank you. Thank you.
I hate to, we can't have any alcohol in here.
Oh, okay.
So just.
Okay. We can have.
Out the window, a little cooler or whatever, but I
Drink in the park. No. No. Okay. Absolutely.
I don't want to know.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yes. We'll have a civilized little get together with cheese and crackers and sushi and seltzer.
Yes.
Okay. We're all up for it. December 12th. December 12th. In the meantime, go out there and have a really great and wonderful Thanksgiving. And I'm here for any of you anytime. Enjoy. Enjoy.